Whoa, it is terrible outside today. It is pouring rain, and being in New Jersey, we always have to deal with a high water table and flooding. So I was outside looking at some pumps, making sure that the backyard and my sunroom doesn't flood. So good morning, Pet Nation. It's Dr. T here, and I think that it's spring, and with spring, I want to talk to you about a bunch of things. I want to talk to you about it's Dog Bite Prevention Week. You're probably getting notifications from your veterinarian about heartworm testing. Come on in for your heartworm testing and everything else. And I wanted to talk to you about what spring brings, what the recommendations are, and certain things that can affect your pet that we're here to help you with. But first, I want to get out of this hat. Shazam! There we go. Hats off. Everything's good. And lo and behold, the sun is starting to come out. So I'm happy. Okay, so I wanted to talk, because I mentioned that it's springtime out. I definitely want to talk about a few things. But during the springtime and during any time of the year, and don't get me wrong, I understand it. We're talking about Dog Bite Prevention Week, National Dog Bite Prevention Week, but really, this is something, in all honesty, that we can talk about all year round. And so, some important things you need to know. I'm going to make a little video with my friend Stephanie Kowalewski, the owner of Heavenly Hounds Dog Training, a wonderful dog trainer. But things before that video comes out, these are just seeds of information I want you to think about. Every year in the United States, 4.5 million people get bitten by dogs. And of that, at least 800,000 people need to get medically treated for this. So just think about those numbers. 4.5 million people get bitten, of which at least 800,000 need medical treatment. Of individuals that get bitten, the two most common groups are young children and now senior citizens. And young children, the most common time of getting bitten is doing regular daily activities. So think about that. We've got 4.5 million people getting bitten, almost 1 million need medical attention. The number 2 people types, age groups that get bitten are young kids and senior citizens, and it occurs during regular intervals, especially for those kids. And it involves a pet you know, or a dog you know. So that's the seeds of information I want you to think about before I talk to Stephanie. Just let that churn in your mind. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and right now you're looking at a picture. I took a picture in my neighborhood of one of the cats that is in the neighborhood, and it's one of those things. It's like, you see this picture and you go, oh, what a beautiful cat. Well, it's a beautiful cat taking a drink of water. And the veterinary team member looks at the picture and sees something completely different. So, number one thing I'm thinking as a veterinarian is that cat up to date on rabies? Number one thing, believe it or not, have I seen rabies in New Jersey? Yes. Yes. I don't know a vet in New Jersey who has not experienced a rabies type case. So definitely keeping up to date on your rabies vaccine is not only the legal thing to do, it is the best medical thing to do. And so definitely that's the first thing I think about when I see an outdoor cat. The second thing I think about is another vaccine, feline leukemia vaccine. So feline leukemia is a viral infection. We have a better understanding of it now since before when I started practicing, but young cats and older cats are more prone to get it. But if you get this virus and you get it through continued contact with feline leukemia positive pets, it could be grooming, sharing feeding bowls, just hanging around, being intimate, etc. So those types of things can happen. But feline leukemia is a virus that affects the cat's immune system, and it is very potent. And by that I mean if a cat is diagnosed with feline leukemia, I've yet to see a cat survive more than 2 years with it. So I've rarely seen a cat survive more than 18 months to 2 years with a positive feline leukemia vaccine. So that's the number 2 thing when I look at this picture, what I think about. The number 3 thing I think about is what sort or is there any tick and flea prevention on there? Outside cats are very prone to get fleas. Ticks are a problem as far as biting the cats. We don't really recognize any real tick-borne illnesses in cats at this point, unlike dogs and us. But they can still bite, and they can gorge, and they can go around the eyes and everything like that. It's not a pretty sight. So proper flea and tick preventatives are on there. And the 4th thing I see is, when I see this picture, is cats hunt. And cats outside hunt a lot, and they're and linked with the fleas, if the critter they're hunting has fleas and the cat ingests it, they can get tapeworm. So cats can get a lot of GI parasites through hunting, just through being outside. Some of those GI parasites can be transmitted to us or our kids. And so the big stories you've heard are about sandbox use with kids, and how kids put everything in their mouth, and if cats and or dogs are in there defecating and urinating in there, you get some issues with spread of disease processes there. And I'll talk about the dog side of things in a bit. But those are the things that I see. So it's a beautiful picture, it's a beautiful cat, but there are things that I want you to just start thinking about to protect yourself and your cat. Okay, so let's talk about springtime. Let's talk about the fact that it's been raining out. A lot of water, a lot of flowing water. So the most common things we see with respect to this in dogs are usually it's vomiting and diarrhea. There's a lot of stuff coming up from the ground. I'm not a dog. I don't know what they love to do, but I do see my dog Holly is nose to ground at this time of year, and she's smelling stuff, checking things out, etc. And so a lot of GI parasites or gastrointestinal parasites are common at this time of year. They're parasites that live in the soil. Dogs get them through either ingestion, nose to ground, licking their paws, whatever, eating other dogs' feces, eating their own feces. Come on, we know this happens. And it's one of those things that we really want to keep track of. So when your veterinarian talks to you about checking fecal samples, it's legit. The CDC wants us to check samples several times a year. And the reason is not only to protect your pet from gastrointestinal parasites, but some of those parasites, roundworms and hookworms, can actually infect us, and it cannot be a good thing. I'm sure some of you have seen those pictures of people going on vacation down south and coming back with infected toes and everything like that, or you see those really gross pictures of how the parasites can travel through the body and sometimes through the eye and stuff. You see gross things like that, and kids are always prone because kids are always doing this, and that's a big issue. My kid's doing this right now, so we're a little past this stage, but it's one of those things we always have to be careful of. So get your pet's fecals checked regularly. There is a way to get rid of the GI parasites with your pets on a regular basis, and that is your heartworm prevention. So I want to separate heartworm disease, which is spread by mosquitoes, and the heartworm actually goes into the blood supply, and if left unchecked, can actually grow very large and actually live in the heart and cause heart failure. That's the heartworm test, and we test that with a blood test. What gets confusing is the preventative you give, whether it's a chewable or a topical for your pet, not only takes care of heartworm disease, it also takes care of a few GI parasites. So that's where people get confused. And when you say it's time for your heartworm, it's springtime, come in for your heartworm test. It's not a fecal sample, it's a blood test. So I want to clarify that right now. And I'm sure that everyone is becoming more and more aware of that, more conscious about that. So there's 2 tests we do. Fecal tests we do to look for gastrointestinal parasites. Blood tests we do to look for heartworm disease. And both of these are very preventable by using your preventatives. And in Jersey, or in warm climates, and by warm I mean if the weather goes up to 40 or 50 degrees during the winter, it's recommended that you use these products year round. Now, the thing I talked about, the cat. So ticks and fleas. So the tick and flea preventative in dogs is either a topical or chewable. And those, there's some collars. There's some collars that work as well. but those are recommended in my neck of the woods all year round as well. So it's something you definitely want to be conscientious of. And a recent study came out by one of our large blood testing laboratories, IDEX. It came out with conclusive evidence that tick-borne exposure to tick-borne diseases can lead to compromised kidney function in the future. So, and the big thing in this area is Lyme disease. We're starting to see other tick-borne illnesses emerge. And believe it or not, I know someone who lost their dog, born and raised in New Jersey, to Rocky Mountain spotted fever. It's a tick-borne disease that we used to affiliate just with out west. So it's very important to prevent your pets from getting these diseases. The biggest prevention is to prevent that tick from engorging on your pet's blood supply. And the tick preventatives work really well there. The other thing I want to talk about is leptosporosis. It is a bacterial infection caused by the bacteria leptospira. And it is something that lives in the soil, lives in standing water, that it can infect the wildlife, it can infect us, it can infect our dogs. And once a dog is infected, their urine can actually infect us. There is a vaccine for it. It works very well. And it is one of those vaccines that, I'm not pro-vaccination every year for pets, and we're slowly, my governing body, through peer-reviewed research, through scientific evidence-based medicine, indicates that there are many vaccines that can go longer than 1 year. So definitely talk to your veterinarian about that. But in my personal experience doing titers on leptosporosis, I got maybe 18 months max out of a vaccine. So it is listed as an annual vaccine, and until further notice, until development of longer acting vaccines occur, then I would recommend that you consider getting this every year. And so it helps prevent the infection of leptosporosis to your pet, and that can then also protect us. It is spread by wildlife through their urine. So I always talk about dogs that are nose to ground. Any dog that drinks standing water, it definitely should be vaccinated. But more recently, because we targeted those dogs, which tend to be medium and large breed dogs, a lot of the small dogs, which I call Paris Hilton dogs, the dogs that are always carried like this, well, they do go outside to do their duty. There is possibility of exposure. So a lot of those dogs actually tested positive for leptosporosis. So it's a vaccine that you definitely want to talk to your veterinarian about and get done. It's a preventable disease. It definitely can be fatal. It affects the kidney and liver, and it can infect us. So it's one of those things you want to talk about at this time of year. That's all I have for now. And remember, everyone, love your pet like they love you, unconditionally. Have a great day.